Hey everybody, Cynic's Pipe Dream here, and in this video I'm going to go over all the tips and tricks you need to know how to win in the Atlas Earth Rock Paper Scissors minigame. Rock Paper Scissors, or RPS for short, is alright I guess. For the casual player, it's a nice change up from the previous timing minigames, and anyone now has the ability to place high on the leaderboard. For the more experienced minigamers, on the other hand, the randomness aspect results in a lack of control, in a sense. Basically, whereas your placement in the other minigames is directly related to around 90% motor skill with timing and 10% connection, your placement in Rock Paper Scissors is related to around 80% luck and 20% psychoanalysis skill. That massive reliance on luck leads to a lot of frustration for many players, where they feel like they really don't have any control of their destiny. You could play a full 3-hour event and get 200 to 300th place, and the next 3-hour event you can get top 25 or even podium. Plus, the decrease in the average amount of Atlas bucks you'd earn from RPS compared to all of the other minigames means that players who do well in those other minigames do not like RPS at all. But the low amount of effort needed to play is a decent advantage. You could literally just tap buttons while watching YouTube or your favorite sports team and win over 100 AB an hour. All this to say, RPS is a minigame with a rather mixed reception among players. The basic premise is that in each round, when you face off with your opponent, you both go through what I'll call here as a series of multiple sub-rounds, where you'll both choose one of 3 available options: rock, paper, or scissors. The rock option beats scissors but loses to paper, the paper option beats rock but loses to scissors, and of course the scissors option beats paper but loses to rock. If a player chooses an option that beats their opponent's option, then they'll earn 1 point for that sub-round, represented by a filled-in circle by your name at the top. If you and your opponent choose the same option, then no one wins a point for that sub-round. The player who wins 3 sub-rounds first wins the match and earns 1 win for the leaderboard. The gameplay is extremely easy. After the countdown, just tap an option and see if you won. However, there are a couple things I want to mention regarding strategies for deciding the best option to choose and when. There's a lot of psychology at play from both you and your opponent that you can use to your advantage. In an article and study posted by the World Rock Paper Scissors Association, which is a real thing believe it or not, rock is the most commonly picked option at 35.4%. Paper is the next frequent at an even 35%, and scissors is the least common at 29.6%. Thus, on any given move, paper is on average the best option to choose from since it beats rock, the most commonly used option. The starting move is also really important. Most men tend to throw rock first, since rock can often symbolize aggression and dominance and is often subconsciously chosen when a player feels defensive. On the contrary, women tend to gravitate towards paper on their first throw, since it's seen as passive and subtle. Since RPS in Atlas Earth is not in person and you can't actually see your opponent, the next best option is to look at your opponent's profile picture and use that to decide what they're likely to throw. Yes, I'm basically telling you to assume your opponent's gender to help you win the opening move. Thus, generally against people in the top 500 or top 1500, your best option to start off the first sub-round with is either paper or scissors, since there you have a greater chance of either a tie or a win. The next step after the first sub-round is to look for patterns being used by your opponent. Winners tend to repeat the same move that worked the previous sub-round, while losers often shift to the next move in the circular sequence of rock, then papers, then scissors, then back to rock. Novice players will often choose the option that beat them in the previous sub-round. For example, say you're in the top 500 and you win with a paper against your opponent's rock. Your next best move is to choose scissors in anticipation that they'll choose paper. On the other hand, if you choose scissors the first sub-round and lose against rock, switch to paper for the next one. Also, keep in mind that players do not want to feel like they're being predictable. If someone plays the same option twice, such as in the case that they won the first time with it, they're very unlikely to use it a third time and will switch to either of the other 2 options. Your best bet in the case that you notice this behavior in any 2 consecutive sub-rounds, respond with the option where you either tie or win the third one. For example, if your opponent chooses scissors twice in a row, your next best option is likely to be either rock or paper, so you should counter with paper. Lastly, if you want, you can ignore everything I've said in the past 3 minutes and just play truly random and have a wheel pick your options for you. Because you're playing online and not in person, you won't subconsciously reveal your next moves based on any physical cues. Thus, you can just as easily go to a website that uses a random number generator to choose each option. I've personally included some form of randomness into all of my RPS games, whether it's around half my options or all of my options, and I've had success and failure with both. If you do choose a more psychoanalytical approach, my strategy is this. Until you get into the top 100, start with either paper or scissors. If you win or tie, choose the same option again. If you lose, choose randomly. Once you get into the top 100, people tend to choose scissors as their first move more often, so change your first move to rock and do the same strategy from there. Sometimes this works well, sometimes it doesn't. In recent 2-hour events, I've gotten 3rd place using this strategy. In the very next event, I barely got top 50 using the same strategy. In the next event, I went fully random for 99% of my choices and got 2nd place, whereas in prior events and recent events, I haven't even cracked the top 100 going fully random. Therefore, my best advice is to do whatever you want, so that you don't get frustrated by how bad rock, paper, scissors is in the minigame. And that's all you need to know about how to optimally play and win at the Atlas Earth rock, paper, scissors minigame. If you like this guide and learned something new, be sure to give this video a like and comment. And if you want to follow me and what I post, you can always subscribe to my channel. I post a lot of Atlas Earth content, as well as other videos about my various interests if you want to give them all a look. But for now, thank you all so much for watching. I'm me, Cynic's Pipe Dream, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye everyone!